Hi guys, it's Steffi from the Novelty Corner. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to go through my book haul revisited for May and June 2018. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. I film one of these videos every other month in which I recap the books that I brought into my life 12 months earlier, and I do this in 2-month lots just because it's a little bit easier for me. I was originally doing it every month, but I found that spreading it out over 2 months makes it a little bit easier. I go through what I brought in, what I've read, what I've not read, what I've unhauled, what I've kept, all those sorts of things. And then I make a plan to sort of read the books that I have not yet read in the last 12 months in the next 2 months' time. And it just sort of helps me keep accountable with my purchasing habits because I like buying books. I have no problem with it, but I also like to be accountable and I like to make sure that I'm moving through the books that I have purchased. As I said at the start of this video, this is my book haul revisited for May and June 2018. Over those 2 months, 33 books came into my life through various ways. Of those books, there was only one that I unhauled and unread, and that's because I actually gave it away as a gift. I was going to read it and then I thought, no, someone else is actually going to get a lot more pleasure out of this book than me. And that was One Station Away, and I've forgotten who the author was. I did receive it as a mystery book when I bought some mystery leftover subscription kit things. So it was just a book that I had that I was probably going to put off reading, to be perfectly honest. So I gave it to a friend who was really interested in picking it up. I had 5 books that I read and unhauled. The first being Into the Night by Sarah Bailey, which is an Australian crime novel, although I do have a copy. I had 2 copies of it, so one I kept, one I passed on. I also read and unhauled The Empress by S.J. Kincaid, which is the second book in the Diabolic series. I also read and unhauled I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman. This was a young adult contemporary book about a boy band, which was great. I enjoyed it, but I was never going to reread it, and boy bands are not really my thing anymore, so that has since moved on to a new home. I also read and unhauled We See the Stars by Kate Van Hooft, which is a unsolicited review copy that I received from Alan Unwin. And I also read and unhauled Endless by Jessica Shervington, which was book 4 in her Violet Eden series, which I read and I enjoyed, and I have passed that series on to someone else so that they can continue it. I have 4 books that I have read and kept, but they're at school, so I can't show them to you. The first is Monsters by Anna Feinberg, which is a children's picture book. Tiger's Roar by Alex Rance. He's a footballer. That is also a picture book, and that is at school. Marsh and Me by Martine Murray, which was a middle grade contemporary book. And The Elephant by Peter Canavis, which is also a sort of junior fiction middle grade book that I have got in my classroom ready to read to my kids. Next up are the 15 books that I read and have kept. They're still on my shelves. The first one being A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J Maas. If you saw my wrap-up video for this, I have some thoughts on it, but I still have it. It's here. It's part of my series. Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett. I was part of the blog tour for this book series. I absolutely adored it, so much so that I also picked up Alex Approximately for myself and read this as well. I highly, highly enjoyed it. I love Jen Bennett's writing. I should just read all of her books. I also read Lifelike by Jay Kristoff, which it was his new YA sci-fi series last year. Only Human by Sylvain Neuvel, which was book 3 in the Themis files, and I very much enjoyed this series. The Price Guide to the Occult by Leslie Walton. I knew that she was really a magical realism author, and I quite like magical realism, and this was delightfully creepy, really, and I enjoyed reading it very much, and I just love how bold and out there this whole book aesthetic is. It's just awesome. I did receive a cookbook, Get Merry, so that's a thing. Save the Date by Morgan Madsen, which I also was part of a blog tour for this book, and it was the first Morgan Madsen book that I'd read, and it was delightfully fun and entertaining about a girl whose family is preparing for a wedding, and there's a whole lot of family dramas and shenanigans. Teacher by Gabby Stroud, which I don't have on hand only because a friend has borrowed it, and this was her memoir of being a teacher in Australia. Not an easy read as a teacher because everything she says is very, very true. Maybe not to the same extent for everyone, but there are elements of truth for all teachers in it. 1,000 Perfect Note by C.G. Drews, which is a Love Oz YA contemporary book. Skullduggery Pleasant Midnight, which is the second book in the new series of Skullduggery Pleasant books, and I'm just obsessed. I love this series so much. It is fantastic. Star Wars Last Shot by Daniel Jose Older. Circe by Madeline Miller, which was the sort of Greek myth retelling, which I absolutely adored. This was beautifully written. I loved the language that Madeline Miller used in this, and this cover is just delightfully aesthetically pleasing. And Planetfall by Emma Newman, which was the first book in her Planetfall series, and I think they're not necessarily consecutive books, but they are all set sort of in the same world, and this was a lot darker than I was expecting it to be, and just very unsettling. Now we come to the books that I have not yet read, of which there are 8. So these 8 books will be read sometime over the course of May and June. The first one is Piglets by Clémentine Beauvais. This is, I think, a translated version of a French book, and I know that Amanda from Cook Read Create really loves this book, and when I saw someone passing it on, I grabbed it because I just wanted to read it and see what it was like. I think it is a young adult contemporary book. Harlequin's Riddle by Rachel Nightingale was another book that I picked up that someone was passing on, and I know that Rachel is an Australian author, and I'm looking forward to finally diving into this. Amelia Westlake by Erin Goff came out last year. It is a Love Osway contemporary book, and it is meant to be very, very funny and set in a girls' boarding school, I think. The main character creates a hoax that sort of has implications for all the people around her. I'm very much looking forward to reading this. The Book Ninja by Ellie Berg and Michelle Kalis. These authors are sort of responsible for the Books on the Rail movement here in Australia, and I've been meaning to read their book for ages just to sort of support Australian authors. It is an adult contemporary romance sort of book. The next 4 books I received in that mystery subscription box thing, so I don't actually know all that much about any of them, but I will attempt to read them. This is One of Us Will Be Dead by Morning by David Moody. Sorry, it's Page Habit. I should have checked the post-it notes on it, because these are the annotated versions from the author, so you have the author's thoughts written on post-it notes at various points in the book, which is really cool. The Truth Behind the Lies by Amanda Searcy. I believe this is also a thriller. Again, could be YA thriller. And again, it's annotated by the author, so I'm very much looking forward to reading this. The Midnight Front by David Mack. I believe this is a young adult historical magical realism thing, because it is set during World War II, but it has magic and it's meant to be quite dark, and I'm actually very intrigued by this one. This one I've been looking at on my TBR shelf for a very long time, going, I am actually interested in reading that, and I want to get to it at some point. And that's the fun thing about picking up random books that you don't actually know or subscription things where you don't know what the books are going to be. I like mystery books. Mystery books are great because they force you to read outside your comfort zone. And then finally I have Haven by Mary Lindsay, which is the only book that I did know was coming from the Page Habits boxes. I don't know, this cover has always intrigued me. I've heard mixed reviews about it, but that doesn't mean anything for me because I'm the queen of mixed reviews. I'm intrigued. This is probably useless, guys. You know me, I will pretty much read everything not knowing what any of it's about, because that's just the way that I roll with books. Those are all the 33 books that I gathered 12 months ago and what I've still got left to read, which I will hopefully get to. 8 books is relatively manageable. Some of the months are a little bit less manageable than this, but 8 is manageable over 2 months, I think. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books, or if you are thinking about picking some of them up, particularly the 8 books that I haven't read yet. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I post bookish videos Mondays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, and planner videos on Sundays. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're having a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.